Uh, I expect that this is going to get a few of you to unsubscribe, but I really believe it's the truth. Zionism, at its core, is a racist, exclusionary philosophy. It states that one group of people are the chosen people; they're the master race, and everybody else is just cattle to serve their needs. And this is why Israel is dragging us into a suicidal war with Iran, because they don't care about us. I mean, we're just goyim. They're the chosen people, the Zionists. Israel is a Zionist state, and I think something like 80% of all the people in Israel support this war, and they support dragging the U.S. into it, and they support committing genocide in Gaza and killing all the Palestinians, and they've even got words for it, like Hebrew words for just exactly that. I mean, they're not even playing around. They're they are they're basically doing exactly what Germany did in the 1930s and 40s, except they're doing the reverse. It's like a reverse. It's like the reverse horror. It's like uh, you know, Hitler thought that the Aryans were the master race, and the Zionists think that the Jews are the chosen people, and that's a either way, backwards or frontwards. It's a hideous, horrible race philosophy, and it's completely unacceptable. Um, and if you read the teachings of Christ, and I have read the Bible. I've read the Bible multiple times. I'm quite fond of. I have a King James Bible. I kind of like the goofy language, and it's a little bit less. Um, it's a little bit less censored than later versions from what the actual Greek texts were. But I have a red letter version, and I really love that Bible. I've taken it with me all over the world. I don't have it on my boat right now, but I'm going to get it, and where I've got my books stored. In about 2 weeks, I'm gonna sail off and go get my stuff. Um, the uh, the red letter Bible. If you read that, I never. When I read the Bible as a small child, I did not like the teachings of Paul. Certainly, he wrote some beautiful poetry, but mostly he just had a real problem with women. He was kind of a dick, um, and it's like it's like what I read about Lot and his daughters. Lot, when the people that were portrayed by the church as the good guys, like Lot was the most righteous man in Sodom, who was sending his daughters out to be gang raped by the men of Sodom, um, and then he had sex with his daughters and got both of them pregnant. I mean, that's the good guy. There's some issues with this. Anyway, and I would put a lot of what Paul wrote in that category of it was, so much of the if you ever get a chance, look at the Talmud, the book that much of the Old Testament is based upon, and it kind of reads like like a instruction manual for the overseers of the human slave herd. And if you read the teachings of Christ, and especially if you read the teachings of Christ that the Catholic Church cut out of the Bible at the Council of Nicaea in whatever 325, Christ was trying to warn us about all this stuff. He was warning us about the evils of the priestly class. He was saying you don't need these people to find God. You find God within you. That's Christ consciousness, and so they had to take that out. So yeah. So yeah, anyway, We have now we have, and I have family members, people I love, people I care about who consider themselves Christian Zionists. And if you read the teachings of Christ, Zionism is absolutely antithetical to everything Christ was trying to get us to do. Christ consciousness is like not discriminating against people because they aren't, because they don't cut the tips of their dicks off and bury it under the yew tree as a token of a covenant between them and the goddamn space aliens that maybe genetically engineered us, the Elohim. Um, and you read the Bible, even in the Bible, but in the Talmud especially, these people, there was no one God. I mean, they're the Elohim. It's plural. Um, Jordan Maxwell, he was talking about this 30 years ago, and he was right. He'd actually read the original text correctly. Um, so anyway, so basically, Christian Zionism is an oxymoron. We used to make the joke of the perfect oxymoron was military intelligence. But you know what? I've met a lot of brilliant people from the military. A lot of brilliant minds in the military, and I this is a much clearer example because you can't be Christian and a Zionist. Not if you define Christian as following the teachings of Christ. It's impossible. It's like you just can't do it. It's like you can't be. It's like in the movie Blazing Saddles when Cleavon Little, the black sheriff, had the Ku Klux Klan hood on. I mean, I imagine there were black people in the Ku Klux Klan, but I would say that being a black Klansman is a bit of an oxymoron. Being a Christian Zionist is a complete oxymoron. There's just no two ways around it. Um, it's like, so what I'm wondering about, if you're you call yourself a Christian, even though you call yourself a Christian, if you're following a philosophy that's anti-Christian, does that constitute worshiping the Antichrist? So, are you really telling the world when you're a Christian Zionist that you're a Satanist? Because you are. I mean, if you look at what the words coming out of your goddamn mouth when you call yourself a Christian Zionist are, you're calling yourself an Antichrist. You're saying you believe in Antichrist philosophy. How, so you're worshiping the Antichrist. Um, so, uh, so those of you that are watching this because you're interested in what I have to say and not just because you're really pissed off about it, give it a thumbs up. Like and share and subscribe. I'm gonna guess I'm gonna get some unsubscribers out of this one. So yeah, so I don't know if it's because Mercury's retrograde or because there's antichrist worshipers in Google, and there are, that I mean, pretty much that whole Epstein class. We talk about, yeah, of course they're all pedophiles and child rapists and monsters. They're horrific monsters. That's more than enough reason to condemn them all. But there also seems to be a lot of you must not be a Christian. I'm not a Christian Zionist, I can tell you that. Free Palestine, yes. Hi, and what do I think about Christian nationalists? Christian nationalists, that's a you know, Christ said you cannot serve both God and mammon. And what is the lifeblood of nations? It's money. It's cash. That's why Meyer Amschel Rothschild, he actually said it a little bit differently. Everybody says said, "I care not who controls a country's laws as long as I control its currency." He actually said something. It was more like, "I care not who I care not what laws that England makes because I control its currency." That was more like what he said. But anyway, um, and that's the absolute truth. I mean, if you're serving a country, if you're so I always say we don't abdicate our personal sovereignty to anybody, and I swear by that. We don't. And then if you read, I mean, that's what Christ said. Christ was talking about when he said, "Look not outside of yourself for the kingdom of heaven, because the kingdom of heaven is within you." You, you, if you live a good life, if you own your personal sovereignty, don't do what you know is wrong, because it's the law or whatever, because your boss told you to do it, and you don't impose on other people's personal sovereignty, then you are living a good life by Christ consciousness. Um, so when you abdicate your personal sovereignty, whether it's to some priest who's raping boys, altar boys, or whether you're abdicating your personal sovereignty to some Epstein class politicians who are worshiping Satan, worshiping, summoning demons, and having human sacrifices and shit like that. Uh, it says to follow the law of the land unless the law goes against his law. Interesting, huh? Yeah. So what do you think the law of the land says about blowing up little girls in some school in Iran, in Tehran? I mean, do you think Jesus would approve of that? You think he was like, "Fuck them little girls. They're worshiping a different space alien. They're worshiping what's his name, Allah, and not Yahweh." So they it's like, blessed blessed is pretty much everybody except for those fuckers, because they worship a different space alien. Um, that's not what he said. And if if natural law, not natural law is just the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Well, you know what? Right now, Iran's doing unto us what we did unto them. And it's not working out too well. There's even some talk that Bibi got his ass blown up. I mean, nobody's seen him for a few days. Not since his brother died. He's issued some tweets or something. But the so let's see. Jesus says to follow the We must be watchmen for Christ consciousness. And all you gotta do is not impose on other people's personal sovereignty. Don't do to them anything you wouldn't want them to do to you. Learn to speak, go to college or something. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if going to college will help all that much, because I got college degrees coming out I worked in the matrix. For 25 years I worked in publishing. You might not like the way I speak, but I've had 34 books published. A lot of them are still available on Amazon, so you can look it up. I don't know. How about you? I think he is speaking just fine. Oh, yeah. Thank you. So anyway, I don't engage with trolls, because, I mean, I think Christ consciousness would even say that the idiot trolls are have deserved deserve to not, I guess, let them babble or whatever. But um, I'm so yeah. So anyway, I'm not saying I don't speak poorly. I know I do, but I don't care. I spent years trying to fit into that demonic world run by Epstein class people. The whole publishing industry is run by the Epstein class. The whole television industry, the whole movie industry, the whole music industry. It's completely it's completely in the hands of the Epstein class, and they really are demonic creatures. I mean, they're really creepy demonic creatures. Um, so anyway, if give this a like. I'm not sure I'll be able to read any cards on this at all today or not, because just as I had I'd been swimming and I showered. Took a shower outside in the cockpit, and I had the cockpit shower, and I was doing some other stuff, working on the boat, and all of a sudden my water pump kicked in. It just started running and wouldn't quit. And usually that means I'm out of water, which I just filled the water tank yesterday. I ran my water maker yesterday and filled the water tank plumb full. So then something was wrong, and I just had a feeling. I just went to check. I don't know why. It led me to the compartment where my starboard engine is, and I checked that because that's where the water maker is, and it was filling up with water, and I looked, and it was coming out of the hose for my cockpit shower. The hose had broke, and it had dumped it dumped like 40 gallons of water into the engine compartment. So, and my I don't know, I checked that first because my bilge pump switch isn't working. I think you are interesting to talk to. I'm going to. So thank you. Thank you. Please like and share too. Thank you. Thank all of you who are just being very supportive of this. So anyway, so I'm running my water maker now because I wanted to run it before it goes dark, because I want to run it while I still have a little light sun for energy, because it uses a lot of electricity, and I needed water. I mean, I can't cook or anything. I didn't want my water pump to burn out. I hope everything's okay. But anyway, that's life on a boat. Things break, hoses break, water lines break. It's a house floating on the water. Hi, I got my little first mate here is trying to get my attention. Are you Trump's friend? When Trump was doing a few good things, I was supporting him, but I never trusted him. I don't abdicate. I play game theory. If the Arabs have a saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I don't believe that. The enemy of your enemy can stick a shiv right up your butt, just like he could stick a shiv up the butt of his enemy. But what I do, game theory is that if people are working towards something you support, you can support them, and when they oppose you, you oppose them. And Trump was doing a few things that I supported financially, but the whole releasing the Epstein files, that crap, telling people they were stupid for having a problem with the Epstein class pedophiles ruling our government. I got a problem with it. I got a real problem with it. So I never voted for him. I haven't voted for a long time. I mean, I wrote in Ron Paul's name a few times. I went and just wrote in Ron Paul's name, for whatever that was worth. I knew he wasn't going to win. But I'm not going to vote for the lesser evil. I'm not going to vote for evil is demonic, satanic, child-raping, Epstein class elite, the ruling elite. And I just feel like by voting for the lesser evil, I'm just less strongly supporting the Epstein class. So, so I wouldn't have voted for him anyway. I can understand why people did vote for him. He said he was going to be, he was going to keep us out of foreign wars, and he was going to release the Epstein files. How'd that work out for us? I guess some people are figuring out how to get the names that have been redacted out of the Epstein files. They just put black boxes over PDFs, and I guess if you copy and paste the PDF itself, everything appears. Oh well. Um, so I'm not so I was telling about the boat. So I'm running the water maker now. You can maybe hear it in the distance, but I'm it's out back by my cockpit, so it's noisy. You can hear it. It's loud. And up here, it's just too much wind to have cards. The cards get blown into the ocean. Maybe I'll wander back there and see how it sounds. Everything looks okay. I'm going to check my water tank here before I do, just because I don't usually multitask like this when I run. I wouldn't normally run the water maker this time of the day, because it's, I like to run it when there's a lot of solar energy, because it burns a lot of electricity. It drains the batteries down pretty good. Where am I? I'm actually in the Caribbean, the Western Caribbean. I'm by some islands in Panama, and I will be traveling pretty soon. So I've been pretty busy taking care of stuff. So anyway, bear with me for just a moment. I'm going to take a peek into my water tank and see how the filling of it is going. And it sounds like it's going well. I never let my tank get this low. This was awful. But I did have a water leak, and I had a real slow water leak, and I didn't know where it was. And I looked everywhere. I searched, and because a water leak, and it fills up your bilges, and it happened to be in the one bilge pump that the switch isn't working, the pressure switch. So maybe I can get away with having it. It's if you guys can handle the buzzing of the water maker, I'm going to take just a quick peek at the do I got my, yeah, I got water. I got everything set up. I was all ready to go. I was about to start filming this when the disaster hit. So bear with me now. You're gonna hear a little bit of noise from the water maker. I'm just gonna check the gauges. And everything looks about right. Oh shit. I forgot a bilge pump on. So that's life on a boat, and it's a lot of work to live on a boat. It really is. So yeah, don't blame you for not sticking around. Hopefully it's not too noisy. It's a lot of work to live, though. If it's not a lot of work, maybe it should be a lot of work, because we get lazy, and we get complacent, and that's how we let the Elohim, the Epstein class, that's how we abdicate our personal sovereignty to them. We just get lazy, and we take the easy way out, and I think you're interested in but I guess on the boat, just like something like this happens today, 2 days in a row. I haven't worked out for 2 days in a row. I've swam. I've done laps around the boat because it's just been hot, and I needed to move around. But 2 days in a row, I haven't done yoga, and I know some people think yoga's bad, and I don't say I disagree with them. I think especially some of the breath work and Kundalini and stuff might actually open you up to demonic energy. But the stretching, I'm not a young man. I have to take care of my body. This is a tough life. I can't. So 2 days in a row, I've had to do stuff with the boat, and 2 days in a row, I haven't worked out. This is This is the first time in almost 2 weeks that I've even went one day without working out. I didn't work out 2 days in a row now, so I'm gonna have to hit it hard. Um, you know, what you call working out? You can do some floor exercises and push-ups and stuff on a boat. I don't carry weights around on a boat. I'm gonna get some bands though. I want to get some stretching bands. Anyway, let's see what the cards have to say. And I apologize for the background noise. I apologize. I need to make water. I had a disaster. No worse than those launches going by though. So, are people who call themselves Christian Zionists, since Zionism is anti-Christian, according to Christ, are people who call themselves Christian Zionists actually, are they as satanic as the Epstein class? I mean, have they been conned into this by the Epstein class? Has the Epstein class convinced them to follow anti-Christian practices because that generates energy for the antichrist that they themselves worship? I mean, they really are Satanists. They are demon worshipers. There's just no two ways around it. And they're drawing all these Christians in by conning them, and just by getting them to advocate the personal sovereignty to Trump, or anybody but Trump, and he's the one that's really banging the Christian Zionism drum. Is that how the Epstein class is conning Christians into worshiping Satan? See what the cards have to say about this. This is a difficult question for the cards. Interesting to see how this one goes. There's a way we get out of this, and that is really find out what Christ consciousness is. Forget all the crap that the pedophiles and the priestly class told you had to do to not go to hell and to get into heaven. I mean, these are child rapists, and who knows? I mean, there's like those native reservations in Canada where they're finding like hundreds and hundreds of bodies buried out in the yards of the government schools for natives. And were all those bodies, would they get the flu or something? I don't think so. What was going on? Were they torturing and using them in human sacrifices to Satan? I mean, these people, look at what's coming out. Look what we're learning about the Epstein class. And look at how much of organized religion is involved in the Epstein class. This is not a stretch here. And we can get out of this we really can get past this by practicing and incorporating Christ consciousness in ourselves. Forget what the perverts and child rapists in the priestly class and the government class told you. You own your personal sovereignty, and you don't impose on the personal sovereignty of anybody else. Live and let live. Practice the golden rule, do unto others. That's all it is. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And that's it. That's what we got to do. And anything else is bullshit told to us by pedophiles and satanic Epstein class people. And here's the signifier. This is us. This is us. This is family. Epstein might be alive. Well, maybe he was alive. It doesn't look like. Looks like Tel Aviv is getting leveled right now. If he'd practiced the right of return and got his pedophile, child raping, demon worshiping ass to Israel, that he might have been alive a couple weeks ago. But this is us. This is who we are, and this is I call this the happy family card because that's really what it's all about. It's really, I mean, we, take care of ourselves, take care of our families, take care of our communities, take care of the people we love. Don't go out killing people that we don't know just because some pedophile Epstein class Satanist told us to do it. After the war, the judge and Trump have to go to. Yeah, I agree. Court. Yeah, but how much of the court system is ruled by the Epstein class? I mean, the Justice Department had this stuff about about this horrific stuff about not just child rape, but about like murder and apparently cannibalism and satanic rituals and satanic sacrifices. They had this stuff since at least 2017, 2018. That's 8 years, 9 years. They've been sitting on this for 9 years. How much justice is there in the Justice Department? How much can we rely on? How much can we abdicate our personal sovereignty to the Justice Department? I mean, it's up to us. And I'm not saying, storm the courthouse Bastille Day 2 style. I'm saying we extricate ourselves from this system. We don't allow this system to control us. We control our own lives. And here's the overall situation, the Wheel of Fortune. And that is really, really, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. But how can we put these people in jail? Of course, Trump also. How do we, is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail right now? Are all these people in the Epstein files in jail? I mean, with what we are learning about them, are all these celebrities and politicians? No, they're still running the goddamn government. Look at Lindsey Graham so we got to do, I don't know how we do this, but you're right. We do need to, these people need to be separated from society because they're not safe. They need to be put in some kind of a prison. Does it affect me? Yeah, it does. I mean, I've had so many friends and people in my life that were molested as children. It's heartbreaking. So that affects me. It's like part of not imposing on personal sovereignty is if you can help somebody who needs help, you help them. That's part of doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. And what can you do? I don't know. Right now, what I'm trying to do is make people aware of this. I'm trying to make people aware of the fact that what they call Christian Zionism is really Satanism. And here is the overall situation, the Wheel of Fortune. And, and that's absolutely what's happening now. So are you going to let the wheel land on you, or are you going to be on top of the wheel? Are you going to be underneath it or on top of it? Because if you're submitting to this vile, satanic, pedophile Epstein class system, if you're contributing to it, if you're being a part of it, you're going to end up underneath it. We need to own our own personal. We need to do what's right in spite of what the pedophile Epstein class tells us to do. If you do what you're told, I mean, like, say the guy delivering the gas pellets, if there were, who knows? Everything they tell us is a lie, but assuming, just for the sake of argument, that there were the gas chambers in Germany, somebody delivered those gas pellets. He was just doing what he was told. He's just following orders. He might not have supported it, not have approved it but by being part of it, he ended up under the wheel and not on top of it. And that's absolutely how it worked out. And here's the gateway, and that's temptation. And they're going to try to draw us back in. They're going to say, we'll cut off your universal central bank digital currency unless you do as you're told. You know, they'll try to scare us, and they'll try to bribe us and scare us, a carrot and a stick. And that's how they're going to keep us under the wheel instead of on top of it. And here is the root card, and that's judgment. And, you know, I never really understood that whole born-again Christian thing, partly because so many people, two-time, so many people that consider themselves born again did not practice natural law. They imposed on the personal sovereignty of everybody around them. And they abdicated their own personal sovereignty to pedophile Epstein-class priests and ministers. You know, look at how many. Remember those, I don't know, I'm old, so I remember the television evangelists of the 1980s. And how many of them ended up being perverts and pedophiles, and some of them ended up in prison. I mean, there's a reason for that. You know what, but you know what? How many of them have been put in prison since, say, 1990? Hardly any. It's because they took over the government. They took over the government under Reagan and Bush, actually, really big time under Bush. And then we fought back against Bush, and Clinton came along, and everybody just rolled over and took it. You know, said, "Thank you, sir, may I have another," and let Bush enact pretty much every one of the Epstein-class policies that Trump, no, what's his name? I did not have sex with that woman, Miss Lewinsky guy, Clinton. Clinton came along, and he pretty much got everything shoved through with no feedback whatsoever. Was born Catholic, but took Shahada a few years ago. I'm a lousy Muslim. You know, do what's right for you, and you know, and don't let anybody else tell you if you're right or wrong. Don't let me tell you if you're right or wrong. I'm saying that if you're a Christian Zionist, you're a Satanist, but if you think that's okay, it's okay, you know. What is my religion? My religion, if I had a religion, I would, Gnosticism perhaps. I would say practicing Christ consciousness, following natural law. That, you know, I wouldn't say I have a religion though, because religion is actually a religios is the Latin term, and it means linking back. And it's kind of like, it kind of puts you on a hamster wheel where you just keep disobeying, you keep violating natural law and abdicating your own personal sovereignty to make you controllable. Truth is relationship. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Relationship. That's it. That's what it really boils down to. That's the signifier. This is the signifier. This is relationship. This is loving and caring and protecting your people, your tribe, your community, the people around you, and that your tribe is the human tribe. I mean, your tribe is those little girls that got blown up in Tehran a couple week and a half ago. Where am I from? I'm actually from a farm. Thank you. Here's the present moment, and that is we have work to do still. We have to perfect our craft. So it is to be spiritual without being. Yeah, exactly. I like that. Somebody said, it is to be spiritual without being controlled. And exactly, because you find the kingdom of heaven within you. You follow Christ consciousness to find the kingdom of heaven. And if you find something inside of you that tells you to hurt other people, to molest children and sacrifice them and support the bombing and killing of other people in another country that have nothing to do with us. Oh, nice man, nice farm from the north. Yeah, way up by the Canadian border. So I come from. I mean, I was thinking about it today. I lived in a. I grew up until I had my first car before my grandparents had a bathroom with running water. I'd got my first car that year. Um, the same year that my grandparents got running water, and I lived with them off and on for much of my life. So I lived in a house where we carried water. We chopped wood and carried water, and I learned to do a few things. It's come in handy on a boat, I'll tell you that. My my tribe consists of mostly dogs. Few people come and go, but the dogs. Yeah, you know what? I gotta say this, and this is a flaw on my part. This is because I wasn't practicing Christ consciousness. I had a closed heart, and I was angry. That's when I was political and all. Um, I was still voting. Uh, and you, the I realized the only time I'd ever opened my heart up and let myself feel real love was to my pets, to my animals. And I'd had relationships. I'd had, like, I don't know, a lot of trauma bonding with different women over the years and things like that. But and I this little one is I love her with all my heart. She's she's my yeah. Uh, she's my little angel. But I did some real work on myself. I went out to sea about, I don't know, 6 years ago. I lived by myself a lot. Uh, Use the political anger to make money on the run. I took this time being alone on the ocean and traveling around um, to really do, I guess you'd call it shadow work. As much as I hate any of the new age crapola of pink cloud language, it's good. It's what I did, and I actually wrote a book about it. I'd written a book when I was a young man, when I was getting my creative writing master's degree in creative writing. I wrote a novel, and it was an angry novel about my anger at what I saw wrong with religion. I called it the Slew Gods, and it was good enough to get me my degree, but I wasn't happy with it. So I rewrote that, and it was about childhood trauma. It was about massive childhood trauma. I mean, there's things in the book that people are going to think I made up, and I tell you what, the stuff you think I made up is probably the stuff that is the most true, unfortunately. But it had really closed my heart off. It's why it's why I could only trust my heart with my pets, with my dogs and my cats and my animals, because I knew I didn't trust humans. And I worked on that, and what I had to do, shadow work, I faced my fears. I just relived it, and I wrote the book. I wrote the book I couldn't write as a young man. I wrote a book that just bluntly faced my childhood trauma without judging it or judging the people in my life. And it turned out pretty well, but at the end of the book, my heart started to open up. And I finished the book, I think, in February of first draft. I've revised a couple times since then. February of 2023 and March of 2023, like a few weeks later, Victoria came into my life. And I would not have been ready to open my heart up to her any time before that. I'm quite a bit older than her, but she's quite a bit more mature than me, both emotionally and mentally, she I wouldn't have been ready for her, so we would have been friends, but she would have never been my life partner, the love of my life. And I met the right person right at the time I was able to My cat's tickling me with her tail, trying to get me to go feed her dinner. Um, the and you know, it was so, and I still love animals with all my heart. I mean, you want to see somebody defending somebody else's personal sovereignty threaten my family or my cat, and you know, it's just, let's just say it's not going to end well for you. When you were last, when you're least expecting it. Seriously, I'd been alone for a couple of years, 2, 3 years on my boat, and all of a sudden my friend showed up with this woman who he brought her. Said this woman wanted to meet me, and he was Texas. Goes, Darwin, come on out. I got a gal here who wants to meet you. Wonderful guy, good, wonderful human. And I came out, and there was this beautiful blonde Norwegian woman, and I said, "Hi, hello." You know, she goes, "It's really nice to meet you, but I honestly don't know what he's talking about." Oh, I love her, but she can't knock my cards off the table. Anyway, so yeah, you're right. I was not expecting that. So anyway, but back to the reading. We have work to do here. We really do. That's what's going on right now. We can't just say no to the Epstein class monsters, the demonic Epstein class, and we still have to open our own hearts and develop Christ consciousness in ourselves. My family would protect grudgingly. Dogs would be different. Well, you know what? I felt the same way about you, but until Victoria, and my, you know, and it that transcends. As much as I love this little kitten here beside me, and I do with all my heart, what I have in my heart for Victoria is so infinitely much more expansive than that. So those of you that are sticking around so long, give it a like. Let's do this. So here's our psychological future, and that's a cheap victory. We're going to be tempted. We're going to be tempted by the Epstein class, you know, that's trying to keep control of us, because that's their job. We're the human slave herd, and their job is to control us. You know. And you know who they work for? Whoever it is that they're sacrificing children and whatever demonic entities that they're sacrificing children to. That's who they're trying to get us to come back and serve. That is Zionism. That's exactly what Zionism is. And here is the future, and that is protect anybody in your life, including your ex-wives. This is we've still got to keep moving. We still have a lot of work to do to salvage this thing. We still got some battles to fight, and this is our fears. And our fears we fear justice, and maybe that's because we haven't forgiven ourselves. If you want to come out on top of the wheel, you remember we got the wheel of fortune as the overall situation here. If you want to come out on top of the wheel, if you really want to serve justice, if you want to not be afraid of justice, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And you want people to, you know, if something's going to happen to you and somebody can save your life and protect you, you want them to just stand there and let the Epstein class, you know, molest your children? No, or their children. You know, we protect each other. You know, we protect everybody. What was it? We protect the least among us. You know, that was one of the things Christ actually said in the Bible. That's in the red letter. You know, and this is the astrological energy, and we might have to act ferociously. we might have to act with some fierceness and some harshness. But you're right. We have to do it with compassion. You know, we don't do it out of anger. I mean, if we have to, seriously, I mean, we may have to. I've thought about this a lot. We may have to use capital punishment on some of these Epstein class people that are now running the court system. You know, we try them. We'll put them. We'll have a real court system. Maybe we have to start our own real court system. Be a part of our world. Yeah, yeah. Howard Lutnick. Yeah, absolutely. Here's our desires. And what we want here, what this is opportunities that we're not seeing. We're so focused on what we want that we're not seeing what's available. We're not seeing the opportunities in front of us because we're too focused on what we want. There's a lot of the, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's a reason. Yeah, I think more is going to come out. I think this whole thing's going to blow up big time. And this is the final outcome. And you know what this is? This is committed partnership. This is the marriage card. This is committing to our family. You know, I mean, they clearly don't want us to have kids. That's why they're trying to talk us into cutting our junk off and mutilating our genitals. And, you know, I have gay, lesbian friends that I love with all my heart. I would not impose on their personal sovereignty. But if people are imposing on the personal sovereignty of me and the people I care about, trying to get them to be LGBTQTXYZ or whatever, even if that's not who they are, you know, there's something wrong with that. They're trying to disrupt the family. They're trying to prevent this. This is who we are. This is joy, peace, unity, and family. And we're going to have that. What we have to do is committing to the people we love. You're trying to cover up the... Yes, they are, but you know what? They're kind of dumb, I gotta say. They're not that hard to overcome. I did all right. I'm not rich, I'm not wealthy, but I got an old boat. It's an old boat. It's not I mean, technically it's a yacht, but it's, you know, it's 18, it's almost, what year is this? It's almost 30 years old. It's 28 years old. It's an old boat. It's not a expensive new, you know, it's not a $1 million Outremer, you know, it's a 28-year-old boat. It's, you know, it's got a few things. My water hose to my cockpit shower broke today. You know, I had to fix some stuff yesterday. It's old, but you know, I was able to by owning my personal sovereignty, I was able to live a life that led me here, led me to this. This card looks horrible to me. This one looks horrible. This is a great card. This is true committed love. This is one of the best cards in the deck. And this modifies our fears. And to get over, that was the last card. I'm sorry, that was the final outcome. I don't know what you mean by last card. I should maybe, you know, there's a video where we explained our spread, how our spread works. We made it like 3 years ago, Victoria and I. It's in our videos archive. It's not in the. Oh, this looks terrible. This is the first card. This is my idea of heaven. I mean, this is what I want in this world, is a committed family love and contentment. But to our fears of coming out on the stinky end of the justice stick, we have to wake up. We have to face our nightmares. We have to go. we have to go in the cave that holds our greatest fears, because that's the cave that has our greatest treasures. My father bought a post back in 2000s, a boat. It came all the way from Scotland. He spends most weekends out traveling. Very nice. Um, I'm not supposed to say it, but I'm hoping that I have a really beautiful experience in Scotland. We have some real special plans for Scotland this summer. Um, well, this is the fear card. So we all have fears. You know, honestly, if you have no fear, I think maybe, and I'm not trying to pick on you, I'm really trying to help. I'm talking about myself here. It was when I had to face my fears that I really started to learn, know myself, to forgive myself, and to love myself. I played housewife for a lawyer and released, raised her 2 boys. Yeah, I did that. I raised 2 boys too. I raised 2 boys with my ex-wife that were mine. Easiest thing I ever okay, somebody, I joke about drugs and stuff, but I think part of what we need to do, part of the work we need to do right now is maybe take a break from the intoxicants, because the Elohim worship class has been using that to control us. I'm going to stay away from. I would occasionally use a little cannabis for it's good for my arthritis, like once every 6 weeks maybe. Not and I would enjoy a beer or a glass of wine or a scotch or a rum or something. But lately I've been thinking that part of the work we have to do to avoid being trapped by these temptations, I think I might be a teetotaler from now on. I might be not even a cigar, maybe a cigar once in a while, but don't tell Victoria. Stay away from cards like these too. Well, maybe. Who knows? If I get a message that these cards are something besides what they've been to me so far, and they've just been, I just have conversations with them. I don't use them. I don't assign my personal sovereignty to them at all. But you could be right. I mean, and if you are right, I will definitely. Things will change, and this modifies the astrological energy, and that is the astrological energy is fierce action, but with compassion. It's like, that might, we may have to put some of these Epstein class pedophiles and murderers and cannibals and demonic child sacrificers. We may have to deal with them with the extreme measures, but we don't do it out of anger. We do it with we're not angry. We're just like, we just can't have you in our society anymore. Maybe we put them on one of Elon Musk's rockets and send them to Mars or some damn thing. I don't know. Maybe we send Elon Musk to Mars with him. He's got some creepy ass shit coming out from the Epstein files, and this modifies our desires, and our desires are only money. Good. I'm not putting down plant medicine, and if you made a good living helping people with plant medicine, and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm right. And I'm not telling you to do what I do. I'm just saying that's where I'm at the moment, and I'm not saying anybody else should be there. If plant medicine is helping you, more power to you. If you like a glass of wine with your meal, I am not imposing my personal sovereignty on you. I'm just saying how I feel about my own path right now, and I think I need to focus more on Christ consciousness than I do on plant medicine. And this modifies the final outcome. And this is I call this crying over spilt milk, because we've given up a lot to get where we are right now, but we have so much, and we don't see it because we're crying about what we lost. I would be in real trouble looking for a job. basically. Steve, oh my God, I'm sorry. I, you know, I, I'll do what I can. If you know, actually, Jimmy Carter, he successfully treated cancer with cannabis. So, you know, I'm please don't. Just because for me at this moment in my life, I need to take a little break from plant medicine and focus on incorporating Christ consciousness into my life. Do not let that, do not let, consider that a dictate of what you should or shouldn't or can and can't do. Please don't ever do that. You know, do what's right for you. You know, so, but this is a good ending for this, because I've been going a long time. This is the longest one I've ever done. And thank you all for sticking around so long. Since you're here, if you getting anything out of this, give it a like, subscribe, and share. And we can't focus on the costs that we paid to get here. We can't focus on, say we voted for a politician who turned out to be a part of the Epstein class demonic pedophile murderers. You know, forgive yourself. You did the best you could with the information you had available. Do not punish yourself for that. You just look into owning, instead of abdicating your personal sovereignty to some outside force, some creepy pedophile satanic Epstein class politician who promises to do this and does the exact opposite, which is kind of what they all do. They kind of do exactly the opposite of what they say. All of them. We forgive ourselves. This is maybe the big battle that we still have to fight, is forgiving ourselves, and then loving ourselves, and then owning our personal sovereignty, and then we can let the Epstein class. We can do what we have to do. Maybe then we create a justice system that will really take these monsters. I don't think they're completely human. I think they were maybe genetically GMOs of from a different test tube than we were back when whatever happened, that we went from we became the hairless apes. But well, I don't want to be anywhere near your children, actually. I'm probably, I'm glad you stuck around this long. You've really, Jimmy, you've really, I haven't voted for filed since the 80s. That stuff is for chumps. Yeah, I voted, I kept voting just out of, I felt obligated, but after 1992, when I voted for Clinton and I got the Epstein class. It wasn't because he got a blowjob. I could care less about that. It was because the first thing he did was pass NAFTA, which sold out the working class. Hi, good morning. If you're someplace in the morning, I know a lot of people that are in places where it's morning. So the passing NAFTA and destroying the working class of the United States. And then the Omnibus Crime Bill of 1994, which created the prison industrial complex, which was the most horrific organization in history. And somebody unliked. Sorry, Jimmy, if I pissed you off. I thought you were calling me the old man. Anyway, but anyway, then I got the Telecommunication Deregulation Act of 1996, which absolutely turned all mainstream media into propaganda for the Epstein class. And then the repeal of Glass-Steagall, which was one of the last remaining laws from the keeping the banks from being complete casinos. You know, it separated investment banks from consumer banks. So all of a sudden that meant that the banks could gamble with our money. Um, all of that, is. I kept voting, but I just kept writing in. I would look till I find somebody that was decent. You know, I gotta say, I disagree with Ron Paul about a few things, but I've studied the man. I've met him. I was the delegate at a Republican convention for him one year. I shook his hand. But um, what I like about Ron Paul, even though I disagree with a few things, I think I think things are getting a little past where he's at right now, but he's still brilliant. What I like about him is I could not find a single instance where he bent over and took it for the Epstein class. Not a single one in his whole career. So, I wrote his name in. I wrote his name in for like a whole bunch of presidential elections. Um, do you? Yeah, but the Bush family is horrific. The Bush family is probably the most satanic, pedophile, child sacrificing group of them all. Do you mean like when Ross Perot said that? In 1992, a lot of my friends for Ross Perot, but I was still stupid enough to be on Team Blue. I was still assigning my personal sovereignty to politicians, and I thought, oh, we have to beat the Republicans because they're bad. And then I got Clinton, who was like, he was like a Republican Superman, the So in hindsight, I would have voted for Ross Perot in 1992. That was a mistake. That was a mistake to vote for a Democrat. I wouldn't have voted for. I haven't voted for a Republican or a Democrat since 1992. Oh, hang on. I'm hearing some noises from my water maker. I got to go check it out. Love you all. Thank you for watching so long. And if those of you who haven't liked yet, give it a like, give it a share, and take care. Love you, and thank you.